Pass the Damn Salt, Please by Dan McLaughlin. Chapter 17. Another Serious Date. Rachel and Wiley, part 4. So, other than being intelligent, creative, and fun, anything else you'd care to share about the wonderfulness of you? Said Riley. So you think I am all those things? Said Rachel. Well, I don't want to go overboard or anything, but yeah, so far I'd say yeah. So let's hear it. Family stuff, front and center, said Riley. Is this a pop quiz or something? Said Rachel. Hey, I thought all you girls liked this question stuff. I read that you do in all those supermarket magazines, said Riley. You did you? Said Rachel. Good thing they are cutting down on the number of clerks, so I get to one of those inside articles, said Riley. Union busting leads to increased sensitivity by guys in relationships. Who would have guessed? Said Rachel. Yeah, law of unintended consequences, number 758. Okay, back to Mr. Serious here. My basic stance on this stuff is simple. You are wonderful. You are the product of your past, which has made you today. So, there is nothing you can say that is going to make me recoil in horror. And I know this stuff is important to talk about. I heard it on one of those daytime shows that have a lot of "you go girl," which I believe is spelled GYRLL moments. Oh, wait, there is the reverse push up into the air thing, as in "you go girl," said Riley. Nicely done, said Rachel. Thank you. I taped it so I would get it right, said Riley. So this conversation is courtesy of the O channel, says Rachel. And don't forget the magazine in the supermarket. Well, there might have been a moment or two in the past where I would have benefited from having this chat, so I thought I would be proactive and invite it. I can grow, said Riley. Lucky me to meet the more mature you, said Rachel. Yes, this is quite a breakthrough. You can also thank the manic depressive girlfriends number 1 and 2 and number 4, said Riley. What happened to number 3? Said Rachel. She specialized in just depressive. But enough about me. After all, this is your turn. I thought you are supposed to like this. You're a girl, I've noticed, said Riley. Thank you, said Rachel. And I thought you girls lived for this open, emotional background, touchy-feely, where you are coming from through sharing, bonding, stuff. Well, we do, generally. Although, in general, if you just call it opening up, we don't need all these other adjectives. It comes across less calculating that way. More sincere, said Rachel. And sincerity is important. Let me note that I didn't have time to read the whole article, said Riley. Okay, I will cut you some slack and give you points for effort, said Rachel. Okay, how's this? Rachel, I really want to listen as you open up about all those hopes and dreams and emotional stuff. Oh, I really promise to listen and not to solve anything because I know that will be a really bad thing, even if I don't know why, said Riley. Okay, I will take it. Not great. Calling this stuff is not the best, but you get some points for trying and even a few points for artless presentation, said Rachel. Sorry to interrupt, but what is better than stuff? I mean, it is still stuff, yes? Said Riley. Let's put it this way. Stuff is trivial and trite and demeaning. Issues are substantial and important and respectful, said Rachel. Got it. Go ahead. I am listening here, said Riley. Thank you. Now, said Rachel. Supportive, said Riley. Again, I thank you. I, said Rachel, empathetic and understanding in your corner. Here for you. Issues, check, said Riley. Would you please shut up, said Rachel. Yeah, right. Your time. Now, your family, said Riley. Thank you. I am the only child of two very successful professional people. My dad is a lawyer. His dad was a lawyer. His dad was your turn, said Rachel. Oh, I'm sorry. I was really getting into being empathetic and understanding. Um, Deep sea diver? Said Riley. No, doctor, but good guess. Grandpa was the kind of lawyer when you think of a lawyer. He had this great big office, lots of big, thick books with that great binding. He seemed to know everyone and was the one everyone turned to when they had a problem. He did what was called family law: wills, marriage, divorce, family estate, personal real estate, bankruptcy, small scale criminal, whatever was in the neighborhood, he was a part of, said Rachel. Sounds kinda neat, said Riley. Yeah, he was. Always had a story for everything and everybody. Wasn't anything that ever seemed to faze him. Only thing was that he seemed to take Grandma for granted, but I guess that was the deal at the time. She did the house and kids thing. He did the work and money and social thing, said Rachel. Oh, and your dad, said Riley. Same profession, different practice. He was totally corporate, but in a totally good way. He thought he could do more for his clients with a big corporation behind him, said Rachel. So he did, said Riley. UCLA undergrad, Bolt Law, and then he clerked at the California Supreme Court. I think he always sorta wanted to be a judge, so we were always having law parties at our house. I grew up as the child of the house at those law and politics parties. Dreadfully boring, but we did them for Daddy, said Rachel. So, no brothers and sisters? Said Riley. Nope, just me and Dad, said Rachel. And the parties, were they any kind of fun at all? Said Riley. Depends on the crowd, said Rachel. What do you mean? Said Riley. Oh, there are distinct strata of parties that Daddy gave. First of all, there are those who know how to be guests, and when those don't, let me tell you, Mom can tell seconds which kind was going to predominate, said Rachel. No way, said Riley. Yes way. The key is what they brought to the party. Once you saw the first few gifts, you could predict to the minute when the party would end what percentage would end up drunk, said Rachel. Do go on, Professor, said Riley. Okay, if the guests were incredibly cheap and never brought anything or a single incredible lame thing, they were public school law students. They sat around and complained if there were not enough beer, but never seemed to volunteer to go and get any. As long as there was any free beer, they would stay. And once it was gone, they would stick around in the hope that some more would magically appear. They could stick around for hours. 2, 3, 4 o'clock was all the same to them. Mom came the closest to being rude to them. Of course, they were so desperate, so that her subtlety was completely wasted on them, said Rachel. Subtlety, said Riley. Well, when one of them would complain about the lack of beer, Mom might mutter under her breath that the beer fairy had made his last visit for the night, said Rachel. Under her breath, said Riley. Well, as the night went on and her voice got louder and louder, her volume would also increase as she began to drink a bit more as well. When she got on the loudspeaker, in general, people would get the hint, said Rachel. You had a PA system? Laughter, said Riley. Oh, yeah. Dad liked to give speeches, thank the guest, acknowledge the big wigs he managed to corral to the event, stuff like that. Mom found other, more practical uses for it. The bar is closed. There is no more beer. There will be no more beer. The beer has gone bye-bye. Now go home. Pretty much in keeping with Mom. On the other hand, the guest pretty much ignored me. So all in all, these parties were not too bad, said Rachel. Fascinating. Go on, said Riley. If the guest brought either a liquid or food dish in the right quantity, they were private school law students. In some ways, they were the best. Usually publicly handle their alcohol and seldom were nasty or embarrassing drunks. On the minus side, they were not good at all at masking the social climbing / networking, which is why they were there. They would either treat me like I was 12 or fake an entirely unconvincing way of interest in whatever they thought I might be interested in, said Rachel. You must have simply loved that, said Riley. Actually, no. There was this weird thing. They all knew the secret code of leaving, and once one started the exodus, they would all be cleared out within 15 or 20 minutes of each other, usually around 12:30. Mom loved them, said Rachel. No PA announcements, said Riley. No? Okay. Next up, undergrads of any school know the theory of guest being but oscillating between food and alcohol and not, depending upon the time of the party in the financial aid cycle. Since they were undergrads, sometimes they bought really weird food that was vegetarian or third world or some manifestation of some geopolitical food theory. So there could be sprouts and tofu and dirt with this sticky glaze because it was supposed to be a dessert and you'd have to pretend to be delighted. But even when the dog wouldn't eat it, you knew that it was time to leave the plate somewhere and then volunteer to clean up real soon. On the other hand, sometimes they could be really cool and treat me like a real person. I like those parties the best, and I think Mom did too. They usually started the latest and tended to break up around 1 o'clock, said Rachel. Okay, anything else? Said Riley. From Mom's point of view, saving the best for last. The partner parties. Those people really knew how to be guests. They would bring food and alcohol and real food from real food groups, real desserts, chocolate, sugar, cake, cookies, baked goods that you just smelled and went all happy. They would never complain about anything and didn't treat me like a little puppy dog or wind up toy. Very sophisticated, nothing to excess, and between 12 o'clock and 12:30, unless it was celebrating a big win, then it was okay to leave after 1, but always before 2, said Rachel. And what was your role in all this? Said Riley. In general, find the people not talking to someone and try to make them feel welcome, said Rachel. How would you do that? Said Riley. By asking questions mostly. What kind of law do you want to do? Did you always want to be a lawyer? Do that kind of law? Why? Are you from around here? If yes, where did you go to school? If no, where are you from and how do you like it here? And what do you find the most the same and what is it the most different? What is your favorite lawyer movie? How close is TV law to real law? Offer an example with a show or movie from whatever was popular at the time. Then introduce the lonely people to each other with what you know about them. It's pretty easily Actually, said Rachel, the dutiful junior hostess, said Riley. Yeah, pretty much. They could be fun if Mom was kinda into it and Dad didn't drink too much. As to talking to people, that is not too hard at all. Ask people about the one thing they know about. They know something about themselves. Everyone is a star, or at least the central character in their own drama, said Rachel. Even people with low self-esteem, said Riley. Especially people with low self-esteem. They can be dying to tell you how they always are the poor victim, how unfair the world is. Then they have this sickeningly faux hero worship of the people or things they think will save them, only to be betrayed by them over and over again, said Rachel. Like Ross Perot voters a few years ago, said Riley. Exactly, unless they are in the first throes of infatuation with their latest savior. Now that can be tiresome because they can go on and on about their newest savior. But from my point of view, at least it requires no energy, said Rachel. Or thought, said Riley. Right, just an occasional, oh really? Or I had never heard that. Or that sounds so nice for you, and you're good to go, said Rachel. And does the same thing work for people with excessively high self-esteem? Said Riley. Huh. Basically, yes. They can go on and on about themselves. It's the mid-range people that you actually have to work a little harder for, said Rachel. How so? Said Riley. Well, they might actually be so well adjusted that they might actually be listening to your answers, said Rachel. Hopefully, that is not always a bad thing, said Riley. Well, since we are being all open and honesty and all, most of the time, no. I mean, a parental party is not an encounter group. In the context of being the perfect junior Miss Hostess, it is my firm belief that everyone on this planet has at least 20 minutes of good conversation in them if you just fish around long enough, said Rachel. Like for 20 minutes, said Riley, which in turn equals 40 minutes. Do that 3 or 4 times a party, plus then you can make some intelligent introductions and connections ta-da, and then you are done. A real conversation might get in the way, said Rachel. Huh, using words as a defensive mechanism. You know, sometimes I think we are just so much alike, said Riley. You just figuring that out, said Rachel. Hey, I can be dim too, like you, he said in a rather lame attempt to keep a shred of dignity. Said Riley. That's what I like about you, sweetie. You are so pathetic when you try and be mean, said Rachel. Just as long as you mean pathetic in a manly and mean in a grr way, said Riley. Pathetic is, by definition, manly and mean, said Rachel. Okay, then. Hey, I got that. You know, and I too can be mean in a manly, grr way. Just look at this scowl. It screams mean, said Riley. Or gas, said Rachel. Well, my gas can be pretty mean too, said Riley. Okay, cowboy, I'll take your word for it, said Rachel. I think I am going to pout now until you apologize. You hurt my manly feelings, said Riley. Oh, poor Buddy Wubby has his feelings hurt, said Rachel. A little initial feedback here as an apology. You are not doing this very well. Oh, poor Bubby Wubby has a bruised little ego, said Rachel. Nope, this is definitely not feeling like an apology. See the pout? Is it getting any smaller? Said Riley. Oh, poor Bubby Wubby with his big, bad, mean man pout. Bubby need an apology? Said Rachel. Hey, stop tickling me. I am pouting here. Pouting. Seriously pouting, said Riley. Oh, poor Bubby Wubby, said Rachel. Seriously pouting, said Riley. Now, what can I do to make it better? Said Rachel. What part of pouting is not coming through? Now, if you keep doing this, frown is going to get seriously turned upside down, said Riley. How about this, then? Said Rachel. Okay, now wait a minute. That, strictly speaking, is not an apology, said Riley. Well, how about this? Said Rachel. Again, if I were to look up apology in the dictionary, I don't think that is what would be written there, said Riley. Not even the OED, said Rachel. No, not even the OED. Oh my, said Riley. You like that? Said Rachel. Oh, yes, as an apology alternative, it is highly promising. I don't see you pouting anymore, said Rachel. What? Me pout? Never. Furthest thing from my mind right now, said Riley. Good man. Come here, you, said Rachel. End of chapter 17. Pass the Damn Salt by Dan McLaughlin. Read by Dan McLaughlin.